If you have life inside of you, live it. You know what I mean? That's how I plan to be. That's how my grandmother is. And I just want to be just like her. So do all the things that you can while you still can. You know what I mean? Like, hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cozy Little Book Club. I'm your host, Taylor, and I'm so excited to get into today's book. That book is, drumroll please, A Love Song for Ricki Wilde by Tia Williams. This is the second book that I'm reviewing by Tia Williams, and I'm so excited to show you why. It was so magnificently romantic and unconventional, and honestly, I'm still on a high, so let's just get into it. Oh, and I'm gonna just let y'all know that I did listen to this book via audiobook because the physical book was just taking too long to become available at my library, so just want to let that be known. The story starts off with Ricki working at her family's funeral home business, which also happens to be their great dynasty. I should also mention that Ricki's three older sisters, Regina, Rashida, Ray, try saying that 3 times fast, they all own their own franchise of the Wilde Funeral Homes, Inc. Meanwhile, Ricki is a director of first impressions at the funeral home, which is basically a glorified receptionist. She doesn't really want to work in the funeral home forever. Instead, she has her own dreams of opening her own floral shop. Fascinated by plants and flowers since she was a child, she really wants to make her dream a reality. But since her sisters and her family are part of Atlanta's elite, and sometimes free-spirited Ricki doesn't always follow the plans that they have for her, she's a bit of a black sheep. For instance, every Sunday, the family has a get-together, and that consists of Ricki, her 3 sisters, her mother, and her father. And these get-togethers are supposed to be dinners, but they end up being business meetings. And at these business meetings, they kind of just rag on her for being eccentric, a little different, a little outgoing, a lot different than them. And so she definitely is black sheep of the family. But that all changes when an older woman comes into the funeral home looking for services to bury her late husband. While speaking to Ricki, they connect in a beautiful way. The older woman, whose name is Miss Della, offers Ricki a chance to open her floral shop in her brownstone in Harlem. Ricki, being the wild and free-spirited person that she is, decides that this is a great idea and takes the offer while she can. And so she's off to New York. She lives in a studio that's right behind her floral shop that she names Wild Things, with Miss Della as her upstairs neighbor. With a few months of rent on hand and a blank canvas, Ricki is now ready to start her new business venture and her new life in Harlem, New York. While preparing and renovating her new store, she meets a famous child star named Tuesday, who she instantly has chemistry with, and they become great friends. Soon after, she meets a man while on a late night stroll through the community garden by the name of Ezra, who happens to be a beautiful and very talented pianist. And that's pretty much where the story takes a turn. From there, Ricki and Ezra keep running into each other. New York is huge, so if you keep running into the same person, I would say that that's fate. But that's just me. I'm just saying. It's literally too much of a coincidence, and soon they learn that they're drawn together, whether they want to be or not. But it's much deeper than Ricki even knows at the time. Y'all know I try not to spoil the whole book while giving these reviews. At least I try not to. But without giving away too much, Ezra has been around the block for a long time. He's been around for a while, okay? Just keep that in your back pocket. And he lives with a curse with a deep and entangled history. It's a whirlwind romance that takes place over the month of February, a leap year at that. This year at that, and shows that love transcends any obstacle, any time period, and any curse. Love is both spellbinding and curse breaking. That was good. Because it is. Hopefully your love is. But yeah, that's cute. Love that for them. Okay, so let's talk about what I did and didn't like about this book. There was nothing that I didn't like about this book. I thought this book was great. I loved it. It was very cute, very sweet, very whimsical, very magical. I loved every part of the book. Yeah, we loving it. I loved it though. I really did. I really liked it. Boo's like, damn girl, you loud as hell. Wait.
Bombastic side eye.
There was literally nothing I disliked about this book. It was so lovely. This is the second book that I read by Tia Williams, and let me just say that she is the Black romance author that I need in my life. I am so excited to read more of her books, but in the meantime, let's get back to this one. This one and 7 Days in June were just both very dreamy. I really love them, especially in this time of social media where we have hyper pettiness, seemingly meaningless interactions with each other, and just a super dismal dating pool and dating outlook right now. She breathes life into Black love, and I'm just so grateful to be able to have that in comparison to all the things that they're showing you. And this is just like, here's another side of it. It's not just one or the other. But yeah, I think that if you want to see some really nice, beautiful love stories between Black people, Tia Williams is your girl. She gonna do what she needs to do to show that Black love is possible and happening. It's happening. Don't let social media fool you, and don't let it fool you. And actually, I want to say a huge thank you to her. I am really grateful to her for that. Anyway, there were quite a few times where I swooned and I swayed with the lovey-doveyness of it all. The fantasy of the magic, the way the storylines were woven together to create a knit of just loveliness. Just loveliness. I also felt that Ricki's character was relatable in a lot of ways. She's a young woman in her late 20s, unsatisfied by the way her life is currently going, but also just really willing to take a chance and go on a whim to do what she actually wants to do. As they say, big risks, big rewards. So it worked out for her, and I'm really happy about that. I feel like I personally resonated with that, and I feel like people that I personally know can also attest to that, constantly working on themselves to get to where they want to be. Hell, I believe a lot of people my age really don't know what's going on, but still we continue to press on and persevere through it. We love resilience over here at the Cozy Little Book Club. Gotta do a little shimmy. I love the fact that Ricki was also a junior after her father's name. Her father's name was Richard, so she's Richard Jr., but she likes to go by Ricki. I thought that was really funny. I really just thought that Tia's writing in this book was very clever, especially when it came to Tuesday and Miss Della. They were some very funny women. Speaking of Miss Della, I really loved her character. It was just a really warm and nice grandma character that we all love. Who doesn't like a nice, sweet old Black lady? Like, I don't know, I do. And she was just such a sweetie pie, and her just extending herself to Ricki at this time where she was feeling very low and didn't know what she was going to do, had very little money, and really just took a chance on her. And that was really special because it turned out in such a beautiful way, and look how that happened. And that's God and the universe in alignment, and I love that. It was really sweet. I really liked Miss Della. We all need a Miss Della in our lives. And not only was Miss Della sweet, she was very sassy and very much dressed to the T. She was older, like in her 90s, and she was dyeing her hair pink. She was very bold, and I really liked that because after her husband passed away, she really didn't know what to do, but she knew she had this bucket list of things she wanted to do. She wanted to dye her hair. She wanted to have a girlfriend. Miss Della was really living life to the fullest that she could, and it was really nice to see, and I just love to see that. You know, a lot of people I think about older people and they think they're kind of like washed and they can't do these things, and I feel like if you have life inside of you, live it. You know what I mean? That's how I plan to be. That's how my grandmother is, and I just want to be just like her. So I love that. Do all the things that you can while you still can. You know what I mean? Like, we only have this one life, so live it up. And live it la vida loca. I also really liked Tuesday. She was hilarious in a plethora of ways. She had a lot of wild stories, and she was really with the shenanigans. I honestly feel like Tuesday and Ricki were somehow twin flames. when they found each other, finally, they just ignite. Like, they just blew up. But in a good way. Nothing in a bad way. Like, very beautiful. And I think, especially with, Ricki being in her late 20s, it was even more beautiful because I feel like as we get older, it can be harder to make new friends because you're not in those same settings of school, or maybe you find them in work, but it's not the same as in school. You know what I mean? So it was really nice to see the power of friendship as an older person. Not that they're like ancient, but as you get older, those things do kind of sometimes can be harder. So it was really nice to see that. And I really just love their friendship and support of each other. It was very sweet, and I think it's the kind of friendship that people really dream of and hope to have. I also thoroughly enjoyed Tuesday's Be About It Ass action, because when it came to her friend Ricki, she was not playing and she was really willing to do anything. And I mean anything. She did some wild stuff through this book, but she was really about it, about her friend and about herself. And I love that. Be about it. Don't just talk about it. Period. Now, on to Ezra. Obviously, I did not see Ezra, but first of all, Tia really described him as being fine as hell. So if I could find my own Ezra, that would be great. I feel like anybody who read this book wanted an Ezra. Maybe not, but I wanted an Ezra. So Ezra was just fine as hell. But my man's had a lot going on. A lot going on at first. And it was like, okay, hold up now. It's always the beautiful ones. They always got a lot going on. But even though he had a lot going on, he was very interesting to me. Even outside of the magic that he had, his resilience through so many different crazy things that happened in his life was really endearing. I really enjoyed reading him. Or I guess in this case, I really enjoyed listening about him. Yeah, I enjoyed the story of Ezra. And I love music. So if I ever met a pianist or any kind of musician who loved me as much as Ezra loved Ricki, I would probably melt. I would just be a puddle. Let me stop. I'll admit that he was really ominous and a little irritating when you first meet him because he was super dramatic. But once you kind of understand what he actually had going on, it all kind of made sense. And then you find that he's actually really pleasant. I also love the name Ezra and the fact that he called Ricki Little Richard. That was pretty funny. I also want to say that I love a crossover episode, and Tia Williams did just that because she introduced some of the characters from 7 Days in June in the story as well. And that was really cool. I really liked her tying that together. Nice little bow. Truthfully, what I loved most about this book is pretty simple. For me, it was kind of a little buoy of hope for this very dismal dating world we seem to be in right now. I do believe that there is someone for everyone, or someone's if that's your thing. Regardless, taking a chance and being vulnerable and being able to leap into the deep end and being raw was so angelic to me. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people in my generation or even the generations after really fear, being vulnerable and being open to other people. So it was just pleasant to read something so lovely and pleasant and positive about love, and Black love at that. So I was really happy about that. So it's pretty easy to guess that I'm giving this book a 5 out of 5 golden bookmarks, because it was just a beautiful story that had so many relatable moments, and there was magic, and there was whimsy, and there was love, and there was silliness, and I just thought it was a great overall book, and I loved it. And I can only imagine all the great music that Ezra played while in this book. I wish I could listen to it. I wish I could listen to a love song for Ricki Wilde. It was a serendipitous love story that I personally needed. Because it is rough out here, okay? So that wraps up another episode of the Cozy Little Book Club. Thank you so much for joining. If you made it to the end, please leave a little stack of books emoji to let me know. And if you read this book, please let me know your thoughts, whether you liked it or you didn't. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you know when we drop a new episode each week. And be sure to follow us on all socials at Cozy Little Book Club. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a lovely day. And remember, when you open a book, you open your mind. Until next time, peace.